We're here at the IDW booth today, and we're here with
Keith Davidsen.
And Keith. You got the wonderful job of working at IDW. Let the people know what it is you do, what you're working on.
Sure. So I'm the PR and marketing director for IDW Publishing, but I'm also the writer of the upcoming comic book series, or comic book one-shot, Godzilla versus Gigan. It's actually Godzilla rivals Godzilla versus Gigan.
For all those big Godzilla fans out there, can you give us any special insights of like what we're going to be getting out of that?
Sure. Yeah. So my Gigan story is basically my opportunity to tell as violent a Godzilla story as I can. When I was growing up, I really loved watching Godzilla, not for the silly moments where he might do a jump kick or something, but in my brain as a child, it was like the most violent TV that I could watch as a kid. My parents would allow me, and because it was giant monsters and not human beings, I got to see more violence in that than anything else. Everything else was like nice kid-friendly cartoons. So I made sure to tell a story where it's a bloody epic battle between Gigan and Godzilla in the waters off of Seattle. Yeah.
Now, obviously, Godzilla's a big license to handle. What did you have to do specifically to get your hands on being able to write this story?
Oh, well, the good thing for me is that I actually work at IDW. I've been working there for several years. I know the editors, and when they were doing the Godzilla Rivals series, which is all a series of one-shots, each issue features a different monster that Godzilla fights. I just went up to them and said, "Hey, can I write a story? Can I pitch you a story?" And they welcomed me to do that, and Toho was very, very supportive. I didn't get any notes on my stories, it's a really great experience. Yeah.
Now, so this particular Godzilla story is not continuing from any of the canon, which I don't know if any Godzilla is particularly canon because they all kind of don't make sense from one to the other. But what was the kind of inspirations for this particular story for you?
So they gave me two rules. They said it has to be about Gigan. It has to be Gigan in his 2000s design. So he's like that darker color, more brutal, more weaponry on him. And they said it has to be set in the 2000s. And so the story itself, I tried to think about what was really happening in the 2000s. And unfortunately, the most powerful thing that happened in the 2000s was 9/11. Which obviously, if that's the thing if 9/11 was about buildings falling, it's a very sad thing, and we're talking about Godzilla, which is also about buildings falling. So my story actually kind of addresses this in a very overt way, in which the people of the world have had enough of seeing buildings fall. And so in this particular story, Godzilla, for once, as this battle rages towards Seattle, he's like the last line of defense to prevent Gigan from knocking down buildings. And so this is the first time, I think, perhaps the real question of, are buildings going to fall? It's the most powerful conversation that we could ever have about that topic in the Godzilla universe. So.
Yeah, a lot of like tokusatsu and stuff like that, they never really address like if there's like people in the buildings and like the ramifications of like these giant kaiju kind of running through the story. I'm guessing not that you're gonna have like a Godzilla insurance policy, set up in this thing, but I'm guessing you're gonna go a little bit more detail into like the people around those buildings and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. There's always in Godzilla there always has to be a human story involved also, because gods are the monsters are such godlike entities, it's hard to connect with them sometimes. So the story actually involves two human characters who actually live on the opposite side of the country and are watching the action take place on television. As the attack's taking place in Seattle, they're living in New Jersey. Their uncle was a firefighter who lost his life sadly in the World Trade Center, and they find themselves wrapped up in the events. Not only are they seeing these terrible things and hoping that the buildings don't fall and obviously people aren't killed, but they find that somehow there's a link between Gigan's fight moves and how he's basically beating the tar out of Godzilla and what's going on on a TV screen that a younger brother is playing video games on. There's a direct correlation between the action that's going on the video games and the action that Gigan is taking to fight Godzilla. And they discover that the video games are linked to Gigan's brain. I won't go too much into that, but it's interesting how these characters who are based in the New York area are drawn into this conflict on the other side of the country. So I'll leave it at that.
So, I mean, what's something that you want your fans that's going to be reading this to take from this? And, like, I guess what can they expect as it goes on issue by issue?
Well, it is a one-shot, so it's just you buy one comic, you get the whole complete story. I hope that the fans will have a great time seeing some really inventive ways that Gigan is going to attack Godzilla and how Godzilla is going to defend himself against fight techniques which he's never experienced before. So I hope the fans enjoy that, and I hope the fans get a little bit of a twinge in their heart over the human story involving these young people who are affected by the tragedy of buildings falling. So.
Can we expect any variants on the covers and some hardbacks, special editions for this particular story?
Well, there's definitely going to be variant covers. Some of the really gorgeous covers, and unfortunately, off the top of my head, I can't remember the artist names, which is very sad. I apologize to those artists. But yes, 3 cover variants for the single issue, and at some point, it will be collected into a trade paperback.
Okay, if there's anything else that we should be looking out for from IDW and specifically you?
For me, I'm going on a writing hiatus for right now, but IDW continues to publish Godzilla comics month in, month out. Right now, we're in the middle of our big Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series, which is really huge and successful. And we are launching a brand new all-ages Godzilla Monsters and Protector series. Yeah, we'll have lots more Godzilla action to come.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview today. The fans are really going to love this information. Thank you so much. IDW, keep doing what you're doing out there.
Thank you very much.